Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist, and today I'd like to talk to you about what are the signs that you might have an ambivalent attachment style. A couple of videos ago I looked a bit more in depth at how this actually forms and how we develop an ambivalent attachment style. And today we're going to be looking at the signs of, could that be me? How would that show up? But before I get into that, if you're enjoying these videos, then please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, because it really helps us get our message out to loads more of you out there. And we are delighted to announce that we now have on our channel a members only area. It's a place that we're going to be able to put more exclusive videos, sometimes longer content videos, some how to do things that won't be available on our main channel. So if you're interested, then just go to our profile and click join, and it will take you through and tell you how to do that and get access to those things. And I hope to see you there. So, signs that you might have an ambivalent attachment style. As I said a couple of videos ago, it forms when we've had a rupture. Either things have been going along absolutely fine, and then there's a big change in our care and the way that our caregivers are with us. That can be illness, divorce, all kinds of things that just come along and just blow everything out of the water, and things are not the same as they used to be. Or we can form this attachment style, which is often as well called anxious. Anxious, ambivalent, they're the same thing. And actually anxious is quite a good description for it, because it does come with an incredible amount of anxiety with all the different things I'm going to go through. And when our care has been inconsistent, we can form this kind of attachment style. So sometimes it's been great, it's been there when we need it, and other times through illness or alcohol use or drug use or just a real chaos going on in life, sometimes our needs aren't met. And it creates a real problem for us, because we really crave and want that attachment and that our needs to be met in that way. And we know how good it feels when that happens. And when it's not there, it can make us feel like we're completely bereft. There's no one there for us. It can be extremely disruptive to us and very dysregulating. Some of the ways that it manifests itself as we get into teenage, adolescence, adult life is it can make decision making really, really difficult. And I mean on quite a major level. A lot of my clients have extreme anxiety at just the thought of having to make a decision. It causes them a huge level of stress and gets their head absolutely cranking over, worrying. They worry about what if they make the wrong decision. They worry about the consequences of I've made that decision. Oh my God, what if I've made the wrong one and I should have made that one? And they overthink all the outcomes to the nth degree. And it becomes such an issue that people will find ways of masking that, of really skillfully avoiding making decisions. And that can be getting other people to make the decisions. And that can sound like, okay, so where would you like to go tonight? Where would you like to eat? Oh, I'm not fussy, you choose. Or, whatever we want to do. Oh, that's okay, you choose. I'm really not that bothered. And they will kind of genuinely mean that, but it's an avoidance. It's a way of coping with the extreme decision making, especially if there's other people involved. Because not only might I make the wrong decision for myself, but oh my God, what if I make the wrong decision for everybody else? And then it's my responsibility, and then everybody's going to blame me and overthink. And it's very, very difficult to be in the present moment. And it makes it really hard to just go, oh, I don't know, I'm so indecisive. Oh, I'll go with that one and just go with it and see what comes. Doesn't work like that for people with an ambivalent, anxious attachment style. it feels like the stakes are really high. If they do have to make a decision, then they worry about, have I made the wrong decision? Because they have very little belief in their own self, their ability to do things right, to make things happen. Because when the ruptures have been there and when the care hasn't been there, especially when we're little, we always think it's something that we're doing or that we've done wrong, that we are responsible for whatever's happening now. Because our carers aren't available anymore, somehow it's our fault. Even if that's not a conscious thought when we're really little, we feel it. We just have that innate sense, because it's too scary to think that it's the grown-ups, the parents, that are not functioning as well as they could. It must be us. And so we take full responsibility for everything that's going on. And the stakes, like I say, feel like they're really, really high. They're not being able to be present in the moment is also a really big deal. Because people with this attachment style, when they're in company, especially if things have come out of the blue, we haven't seen these changes, these ruptures coming, or it's not obvious when our carers aren't going to be available to us or give us a really different response to the lovely one that they've previously given us. We have a kind of radar that comes on and a questioning of what's really happening. And that manifests itself like being in company, and instead of just being able to be in the moment, enjoy, go with the flow of conversation and just react spontaneously, people with this attachment style are looking at the others saying, what are they really thinking? You know, what did they really think when I said that? Or I'm being really quiet because I'm scared to say anything and I wonder what they're making up about me. And are they just being nice? Do they not really mean that? And it makes it very, very difficult to be fully accepting and just be going with the flow and being relaxed and happy and just enjoying ourselves. There's this constant narrative going through. And that will then carry on, even if on face value everything has gone well, everybody's had a great night, there's been absolutely no hiccups. People with this attachment style will be going home and saying, oh my God, I wonder what they thought of when I said that. They replay conversations and little scenarios over and over again. And they'll find a fault or convince themselves there was a fault and can rewrite the whole narrative for a very pleasant evening to something that just wasn't right. Something's not been right about it. It's gone wrong in some way, but I just didn't spot it. And everybody's gone away with this view of me. People with an anxious ambivalent attachment style need an awful lot of reassurance. They check things out over and over again. They need an awful lot of reassurance that actually things are the way they seem and they don't get eroded. And that can be very difficult for the people with this attachment style, but it can also be very difficult for others around, that it just is as it is and it doesn't change. With that narrative going on and the seeds of doubt and I wonder what's really lying behind the surface, it makes it really hard to trust. It's not that they're not trustworthy, untrusting people. It's just that their experience has led them to look for things. Because if something's going to go wrong, then, and we have that innate sense that something's going to go wrong, everything ends badly, then we have a real need for control. And so what we'll do is say, okay, I'm going to look for the fault in it, I'm going to find it, and then I'm going to wreck it before it can wreck and I'm caught unawares again. We get that level of control. Now, as with all attachment styles, it's behaviour first and conscious thought of, what was that about? Why did I do that? And we make up the reasoning, the narrative, based on what's happening here and now. We rarely think, oh, I wonder if this is an attachment wound that's unconsciously playing itself out and kind of sabotaging things. Because it can be a really big self-sabotage part. It can take a wrecking ball to things, and the first little sign of a wobble and the fault finding can really kick in. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh, they probably don't like me. Oh, something's going on in the script. And the person with the attachment style will find the things that suit, or they'll poke and poke and poke until something comes up, something goes wrong. And then it's like, oh, I knew it. I absolutely knew it. And they're ready to exit at that point. These people will often have a bit of a trail behind them, a familiarity that this has happened over and over and over again. Because if we haven't seen this thing coming, or we've had one or two ruptures, we have that belief system that don't let your guard down, don't get too happy, don't get complacent, because when it goes wrong, it's gonna hurt so badly. And so that experience that should be great, everything going really well, it can set off an alarm bell. Don't let your guard down. And when that alarm bell goes off, the person with this attachment style will want to unconsciously pull away, find a reason to pull back so that they're not going to get hurt all over again. To the outside world, it doesn't seem to make any sense. To the person on the receiving end of this friendship, relationship, it seems to be coming from nothing, being made out of nothing. And you can imagine the dialogue that goes along with that. It's never favourable because there's a total lack of understanding of what is actually playing itself out. It's not really about what's going on between these two people. It's about the unconscious alarm bells that are going off. And this sense of responsibility that we carry from being little, it means that we take responsibility for everything. It feels like everything's our fault. People with this attachment style are really easy to guilt trip. And it's a bit of a field day for a narcissist because these people are easy to gaslight because they're always going to doubt themselves. Everybody else knows better. The power lies with others and trying to second guess and work out what's expected of us. But then, going over it is like, oh, I'm never come up to scratch because they rarely feel good enough. They often feel very less than everybody else because they've got a different experience of what it's being like around people and interacting. And when we've given all our power away to, I have to, really second guess what's going on. I have to try and work out what people want from me. What is the right answer? It means that we don't really have that much sense of ourself being able to show up. It makes it a very anxiety-provoking attachment style, and you can really understand why a lot of people with this attachment style have huge social anxiety because it feels such a complicated place to go out into and really, really risky and something that they've kind of convinced themselves they're never going to master anyway. They're never going to be the same as everybody else. It's always going to be this battleground, and so it's best to avoid it. When someone with an anxious, ambivalent attachment style is in a relationship with all of these things that are lying underneath, they not feeling good enough, they never seem to get things right, it's always going to go wrong. Often the narrative they will have for the person who wants to form a relationship or is in a relationship with them will sound something like, well, what's wrong with you? Why would someone like you want to be in a relationship with me? And this person with this attachment style often will, if someone does seem interested in them, they'll make a whole lot of reasons to not get in that relationship, to convince themselves that actually there's something else going on because that person, there must be something really wrong with them to want to be in a relationship with me. Or they just constantly find fault, they pick holes in this to try and undo it because it just feels too threatening. It feels that it's too risky, there's too much to lose by getting in this relationship. And again, those patterns, it won't just be a one-off. And, you know, for some people, if this is just a one-off and it's happened to you, that's fine. It's probably not a problem. But if this is a pattern and you look behind and look back at previous relationships, you might find there's a bit of a pattern of how it ended up. How did things finish? What happened in the relationship? And when you can see that there's a pattern, then that might be a clue that there's something else under the surface that's playing itself out, that's not about what's happening right now or with this person. The other thing that people with this attachment style have is a tendency to be very nervous of sitting in the middle ground, of anything being kind of ordinary or mediocre, because their experiences have always been quite extreme. It's been really great and then it was terrible. And so they tend to kind of mirror that, to replicate that in other areas of their life. And it can look like a whole number of things, you know, from fitness, going to the gym every day, working out for 2 hours, or then something goes wrong and they don't go at all. Eating, being on a really, really extreme diet, and then just going off it completely and either binge eating or not eating or eating really unhealthily. There'll be very little balance. And this will show up in all different areas of life. You know, if you say to yourself, am I a little bit extreme in the things that I do, the thoughts I have around things, my behaviours around things? Do I tend to swing from one to another? Then the answer might be, I think there might be, again, something that's just driving this a little bit. What is it about being in the middle of the road with this? Eating a balanced diet, having balance in your life, a balanced exercise regime, a balanced work-life balance. If that seems quite unnerving or impossible, then again, it might be worth looking at what kind of attachments have I formed? What was the lessons in life that my attached parts got? Because it's part of our survival mechanism, and so it will hardwire itself in. And it comes out, it's always behaviour first, and oh my God, what am I doing secondly? And it can feel like an impossible question to answer. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's driven. It's a body-centred driven thing. Having an understanding of, that might be me, and then how it's playing out. If we're in a social situation, then what we have to be able to do is bring it back to us. Okay, this is going to play out whatever, but how can I regulate myself? Because this is making me feel stressed and dysregulated. What are the signs of that? How am I breathing? Do I feel grounded? Do I have a sense of myself? When we can bring it back to ourself, not in a selfish way, just bringing back some of the attention and power to us. It's like, okay, I'm going to regulate myself, and then it's going to be easier to talk, and it's going to be easier. And understanding what's going on can be a huge heads up as to what is really playing itself out, and what this narrative, and what the kind of background story and the background experiences of this narrative really are. And then we can start to shift them, have a different narrative, challenge some of those belief systems that we have in place. You know, is that really true? Would I like it to be different? Would I like to believe something different about myself? And just start that journey. But knowing what's going on can make a whole load of difference. You're not just X, Y, or Z. This is driving it and getting in the way of the life that you want to live. So I hope that rings a few bells with people, helps make some sense of things, either for you or other people that you know. So again, if you're enjoying these videos, you're finding them useful, helpful, then please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, hopefully join our members area, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, bye.